She doesn't slam doors. She doesn't scream. She just shifts. Her tone dulls. Her energy hardens. And suddenly, the woman who once lit up around you feels like a stranger wrapped in silence. You feel it instantly, that coldness in her voice, the short replies, the way her body barely leans into yours anymore. And maybe you're wondering, what did I do wrong? But here's the truth most men never hear. A woman doesn't go cold without reason. Her distance is a signal, a quiet scream, a message she's trying to send without having to say a word. She's not cold because she stopped caring. She's cold because something shifted. And when a woman pulls back emotionally, it doesn't always mean she's done. It means she's guarding herself. From what? Maybe it's how you spoke to her last week. Or how she felt invisible when she needed you. Maybe it's the way she's been carrying the weight of disconnection, quietly, patiently, until it hardened into silence. You see, coldness in a woman is rarely random. It's a response to being misunderstood, to feeling unseen, to loving someone who forgot how to reach her. And if you ignore it, if you brush off her chill as just her being dramatic, you'll lose her. Not in a dramatic exit, but in slow detachment you won't realize until it's too late. Because once a woman goes cold, she doesn't always thaw. You try to joke with her like you used to, and she barely reacts. You text her something sweet, and she replies with a dry thanks. That warmth she used to wrap you in? Gone. Replaced with distant eyes. And short, calculated responses. And you sit there wondering, is she mad at me? But no, it's deeper than that. She's tired. Tired of feeling like she's pouring into something that never fills her back up. Tired of repeating herself. Tired of explaining emotions that you never seem to catch. Tired of showing up in a relationship where she feels alone. So she stops showing up emotionally, not to hurt you, but to protect what's left of herself. You might think she's being cold out of spite, but often, a woman becomes cold because she gave you every chance to warm her. And you didn't notice. You didn't act. You didn't listen. So now, she's quiet. She's guarded. She's done talking. And here's the truth. When a woman goes cold, she doesn't always want to leave. But she's preparing herself, just in case she has to. Because no woman wants to stay where she feels emotionally starved. Where her softness is met with silence. Where her needs are labeled as too much. So, if she's acting cold, don't get defensive. Don't try to fix it with quick apologies or sweet talk. What she wants is presence. Real energy. A man who doesn't just notice her distance, but understands why it showed up in the first place. You see, coldness in a woman isn't always about anger. Sometimes it's about disappointment. Not the kind she yells about, but the kind she swallows. The kind that builds up in quiet moments when she needed connection, and got distance instead. She remembers every moment she opened up and felt ignored. Every time she reached for you, and you were distracted. Every time she tried to express what she was feeling, and you brushed it off. Those moments, they don't disappear. They sit in her chest, and slowly freeze her affection. Because when a woman gives her heart, she doesn't do it halfway. She loves with her time, her words, her touch. And when that effort feels one-sided, it chips away at her trust. So she starts pulling back, not to punish you, but to protect herself. She becomes quieter, less affectionate, less open. She's not trying to be cruel. She's just tired of being vulnerable in space that no longer feels safe. And if you've noticed that shift, if her energy feels colder, her presence feels thinner, and her words feel more distant, that's not just mood. That's a warning. Because a cold woman is rarely cold by default. She's cold because something or someone made her that way. And if it was you who made her feel unseen, you might still have time to fix it. But only if you're brave enough to stop blaming her reaction and start facing the reason behind it. She didn't want to become distant. That was never her goal. She wanted to be soft with you. She wanted to melt in your arms, to laugh with you, to feel safe with you. But she reached a point where softness started to hurt, where loving too openly only led to disappointment. And so she learned to shut it off. Not all at once, but little by little. First, she stopped texting as often. Then she stopped sharing her thoughts. Then her touch became brief, her kisses mechanical, her laughter rare. Until one day, you woke up next to her and realized the woman lying beside you felt like she was miles away. But the truth? She was already leaving, emotionally, and you missed the signs. Because while you were distracted, she was waiting for you to ask her how she really felt, waiting for you to notice her silence, waiting for you to care enough, to fight for the connection that was fading right in front of you. But now, her coldness has become a shield. She doesn't cry anymore. She doesn't beg. She doesn't explain. Because in her mind, You had your chance, and she's done pouring warmth into something that made her feel invisible. So if she's acting cold, it's not always the end, but it is a final warning. One that says, prove to me I still matter, or I'll stop trying altogether. You're probably thinking, she changed. She's not the same woman I fell for. And maybe you're right, but have you asked why she changed? Because women don't just wake up and decide to go cold. They become that way when they feel emotionally abandoned. It's not always about what you did. Sometimes it's about what you didn't do. You didn't notice when her eyes stopped smiling. You didn't hear the sadness hidden in her silence. You didn't hold her when she didn't have the words to ask for it. She waited for you to read her body language. She hoped you'd sense the shift. She gave you subtle cues, but you missed them. So now, she's not giving you cues anymore. She's giving you distance. Because here's what most men don't realize. Emotional coldness isn't her revenge. It's her response to feeling like she no longer matters, to believing she has to harden just to protect her own heart. She used to be soft, gentle, affectionate. She wanted to give you her entire emotional world. But when that world started feeling unsafe, she stopped opening it. Now, she wears layers, not clothes, but walls. Walls you helped build, not with cruelty, but with neglect. And if you want to thaw her, don't just say the right things. Show her, consistently, patiently, without pressure. Because once a woman's gone cold, only depth, presence, and real connection can warm her again. She used to crave your touch. Now she pulls away, not because she hates you, but because something inside her doesn't feel safe anymore. And safety to a woman isn't just about protection. It's about emotional consistency. She wants to know that when she opens her heart, you won't drop it. She wants to believe that when she gives you her softness, you won't meet it with silence. But when that consistency fades, so does her warmth. That's when the coldness sets in. She stops reaching for your hand. She avoids long eye contact. She doesn't snuggle into you like she used to. And when you ask what's wrong, she says nothing. Because she's already told you before. More than once. You just didn't hear her the way she needed to be heard. So now she's done explaining. Done repeating herself. Done hoping you'll see her heart. When you never really looked past the surface. And maybe now you're trying. Maybe you're realizing what's slipping away. But by the time a woman becomes cold, she's no longer reacting. She's retreating. Not out of spite, but out of emotional exhaustion. Because it takes energy to stay open. To keep giving. To love fully when that love starts to feel one-sided. So, if she's distant, don't just rush to fix her behavior. Ask yourself, what version of me made her feel alone in the first place? Because until you face that, you'll never understand the silence she's now using to protect herself. You try to pull her close, but she stiffens. You crack a joke to lighten the mood, but she doesn't laugh the way she used to. You bring up the good old times, and her eyes just stare back at you, blank, unreadable. That's when it hits you. This isn't a phase. It's not mood swings or hormones or her just being off. No, this is her soul pulling away. This is detachment. She's guarding what's left of her softness. Because too many of her efforts felt wasted. Too many of her emotional investments didn't get returned. She gave you affection when you were distracted. She tried to connect when you were too busy. She showed love in small, quiet ways. And you missed them. So now, she's cold. Not to punish, but to preserve. Because being cold is her last defense. Against the pain of caring more than she feels cared for. And here's what most men fail to realize. When a woman turns cold, it doesn't mean she doesn't feel. It means she's felt too much. It means she's been carrying the emotional weight of the relationship for too long, waiting for you to show up fully. But slowly realizing, you never did. And now, the warmth she used to give so freely, it's hidden behind walls you helped build. Not with cruelty, but with your absence when she needed presence. And if you want her back, you have to stop asking what's wrong with her, and start asking what's been missing from you. Because coldness isn't who she is, it's who she became to survive what you didn't see. She doesn't flirt like she used to, doesn't playfully tease, doesn't give you those eyes that once pulled you into her world. She's not mad, she's not bitter, she's just tired. Tired of being the only one trying, tired of overgiving and underreceiving, tired of explaining how she feels to someone who keeps missing the point. So now she's quiet. She keeps it simple, polite but not passionate, present but not with you. You feel it in the energy, that chill in her tone, that hesitation in her touch. The way she walks in the room and doesn't light it up anymore, just floats through it like a ghost of the woman you used to know. And you wonder, did her feelings change? Maybe, but more often than not, her hope is what changed. She used to believe things could improve, that you'd see her pain, that you'd feel the distance and try to close it. But the longer she waited, the more numb she became. Now that numbness looks like coldness, but deep inside, she's still the same woman who wanted to be close, who wanted to feel loved, who wanted to be chosen every day. She just stopped begging for it. Because once a woman feels like she's loving alone, she learns to stop reaching, not to play games, but to protect her dignity. And when her coldness replaces her craving for connection, you're not dealing with an attitude. You're dealing with heartbreak, buried beneath silence. She didn't stop caring overnight. She stopped showing it. Because at some point, showing it started to feel like begging. Begging for attention, for validation, for some kind of proof that she still mattered to you. And when a woman begins to feel like a burden instead of a blessing, that's when the coldness begins. She starts keeping her thoughts to herself, stops expecting comfort when she's down, stops hoping you'll notice when she's gone quiet. And that right there is the moment the relationship begins to die. Not when she leaves, but when she stops hoping. Because a woman only grows cold after she's given you every warm part of her and got frostbite in return. You'll see it in how she stops initiating, how she no longer asks for time together, how she goes from being expressive to emotionally blank. That blankness isn't her nature. It's her defense. She loved loud. She gave freely. But when it felt one-sided for too long, she had no choice but to adapt. So now she's colder, more detached, guarded. And every time you ask what's wrong, she'll say, "I've seen it." Because she doesn't trust that you'll understand what it took to get to this point. But deep down, she's still watching, still waiting, to see if you'll actually show up, or if she'll have to finish walking away alone. You kept wondering why she changed, why her energy felt distant, why her affection turned into silence, why her eyes no longer searched for yours the way they used to. And now, you know, she didn't become cold to punish you. She became cold to protect herself. She loved you with her warmth, with her softness, with a heart that only wanted to be seen. But when she stopped feeling safe in that space, she froze. Not because she wanted to, but because it hurt too much to keep giving love. That wasn't fully received. So here's the truth most men never face. A woman doesn't become cold for no reason. She becomes cold because at some point, you went emotionally missing. You stopped noticing. You stopped showing up. You stopped making her feel chosen. And maybe now you want to fix it. To warm her back up. To bring her close again. But a cold woman doesn't respond to surface apologies. She responds to real presence. To consistency. To a man who doesn't just want her when she pulls away, but values her when she's still trying. Because once she's cold, you don't melt her with charm. You melt her with depth. And if you're not willing to go there, to see the hurt behind her distance, then let her go. Because she deserves to be loved like she never had to freeze in the first place.